This is the Carpigiani 193 countertop model. This model is available in either gravity-fed or pump-fed and is available in single-phase or three-phase. It is available as a water-cooled or an air-cooled unit. This unit can produce soft serve, frozen yogurt, or sorbet. And disassembly. We will begin the disassembly by removing the dispense head. Start by removing the 4 plastic thumb screws. Then remove the faceplate. We will then remove the 2 beaters from their respective cylinders. Be sure to use 2 hands when removing each beater, because the back of the beater could fall and damage the cylinder during removal. Finally, there is the cover for the automatic door closers. These are spring-loaded arms that push down on the top of the pistons to help them close back. At the top of the machine, we will remove the gravity feed tubes. It does not matter if they are removed as one piece or the outer then the inner sleeve. With the parts removed from the machine, we will begin disassembling for cleaning. We will begin by disassembling the dispense head. There is a retaining O-ring on the pivot pin, which will be the first thing we remove. Upon removing the pivot pin, we will remove the 3 handles. Next, we will remove the pistons. Take one handle and pry out each piston as shown here. Turning the head over, you will see 2 O-rings on the rear. You will take the O-ring removal tool and place it under each O-ring and lift. You will do the same thing with each of the piston O-rings. Next, we will remove the O-ring at the bottom of the gravity tubes. Each gravity tube is comprised of an inner and outer shell. You will want to make sure that they are removed and both cleaned. Anytime Carpigiani puts a hole in anything, there are brushes that are used to clean it. It is important that every piece be thoroughly cleaned and every hole brushed out. Failure to do so will allow bacteria to grow and you will fail health department inspections. With the parts washed out at the sink and thoroughly brushed clean, it is time to reassemble. You will do this by replacing and lubricating the O-rings you removed earlier. The center piston has a connected set of O-rings. This allows the piston to block flow from both sides of the cylinder. Determining the center piston for reinstallation is easy, as it is the most identifiable due to this O-ring. We will then reinstall the 3 handles. There is a core control screw on each handle. Make sure that it is placed towards the bottom of the dispense head, as shown here. Now the retaining O-ring is reinstalled at the end of the pivot pin. The beaters have a seal that is lubed only on the interior portions. It is not necessary to lube the exterior trough. When reassembling the gravity tube, there are 3 filling choices for overrun on each pipe. These are selected by placing the outer sleeve over the inner sleeve and turning the outer sleeve to the desired hole. It is important that you select the correct hole for your desired product. The O-ring is returned to the bottom and only the exterior portion is lubricated. The process is repeated for the other tube. When brush cleaning the 193, there is a brush designated for cleaning out the cylinders. It will be important to use this brush along with soap and water to clean the entire unit as laid out in your operator's manual. When reassembling, you will begin by placing the beaters back into the cylinders, again using 2 hands just as when removing. Then we will reinstall the auto closer cover. We will then reinstall the dispense head and secure it with the 4 plastic thumb screws. Because of the lubricant involved in preparing the O-rings for installation, the thumb screws can, at times, feel tight, when in fact your hand is sliding over top. By using a paper towel, you can get a better grip and ensure that the thumb screws are snug. When reinstalling the gravity feed tubes, there is a securing slot at the bottom of each tube. These will catch underneath the pin in the seat for the feed tube. You must be sure the feed tube is properly locked into position. Push firmly down on the feed tube and twist until the catch plate is locked beneath the pin. You should be able to pull up and not remove the gravity tube. Reinstall the outer sleeve, being certain to realign it with the correct hole. The process is then repeated for the other side. Pump disassembly and reassembly. To remove the pumps, slide the connector rod loose from the pump, then turn it toward the front left corner and remove it. Pull up on the feed tube while turning counterclockwise. This will release it from its locks. Turn slightly clockwise on the pump and pull forward, making sure you remove the shaft and the pump seal. 193 heat treatment units also feature an agitation paddle. To remove the paddle, pull up and the paddle will lift out. As previously mentioned, for any hole on this machine that needs to be cleaned, there is a cleaning brush sent with the machine that fits. You will need to make sure to completely brush out this paddle and thoroughly clean it. The process is then repeated on the other side. When disassembling the pumps, you will begin by removing the pump shaft in the rear of the pump. There are 2 black rings on the shaft. These are actually ceramic backings, and they are placed there to deal with friction because they handle friction better than steel does. Because of this, you must use care when handling this shaft. If it is dropped, then you can chip the ceramic. It will destroy your seal and the shaft will require replacement. You will remove the pump seal. Push down on the pickup tube. There is a cutout in the bottom of it that lines up with this pin, and it will release the pickup tube. There is an O-ring around the pickup tube. You will want to remove that O-ring. Then you have a spring and pressure cap that will be removed. The pump face is held on by 2 metal thumb screws. You will remove the thumb screws and separate the halves. There is 1 O-ring in the center of the pump, a drive gear, and a driven gear. You will find 2 O-rings on each connector tube that will need removal. There is a duckbill valve and an O-ring on each of the feed tubes that will need removal. That's the pieces that make up one pump. The other pump will disassemble the same way. These parts will be washed out and brushed out at a sink with warm soapy water, never above lukewarm. These parts are made for low temperatures and hot water could damage them. You will never want to put them into an automatic dishwasher because most dishwashers will put the dishes through some sort of hot cycle that could damage the parts. To reassemble the pumps and tubes, simply go in the reverse order of what you did during disassembly, but this time making sure to re-lubricate every rubber O-ring and also the pump seals. To start reinstallation, you will want to first return the plastic agitator, making certain that the metal square is visible at the top of the agitator. When reinstalling the pumps, you want to use a paper towel and double-check that the thumb screws are nice and tight. Place the pump, starting with the shaft, back in the hole. There is a clip at the back of the hopper for the pump to hook to, and there is a catch hook on the pump. The catch hook should seat back onto the stud, and that will ensure that the pump is locked into place. Now put your feed tube back in its hole and push down and turn back toward the pump. It should be locked into place. Now turn the feed tube towards the front corner of the machine and put your connector back into the feed tube. Aim it back toward the front of the pump and connect it back into the pump. Sanitizing. With the parts reassembled, you will pour in properly mixed sanitizing solution. The cleaning brush will then be used to move the sanitizer around, making sure that the sanitizer comes in contact with any surface the product could possibly touch. This is done for 2 minutes. Once the tops have been brushed out, you will press the center lock button and release. This allows the beaters to run without refrigeration. This moves the beaters inside the cylinder, which agitates the sanitizing solution, again moving it over any surface the product could touch. When the lock button is pressed, a 30-second timer begins. You will need to press the lock button a total of 4 times in order to ensure 2 minutes of agitation. After the 4th agitation cycle is completed, you will place a catch bucket beneath the dispense head. Press the agitation again and pull down on the dispense head. This allows the sanitizer to flow out through the dispense head. You can also pull down on the twist handle, allowing sanitizer to flow through. This will be done for a total of 2 minutes to allow sanitizing of the dispense head. After the 2 minutes is completed, you may pull down on the dispense handle and allow any remaining sanitizer to be removed by gravity. Operation. With the sanitizing process completed, we will remove the gravity tube, place a catch receptacle below the dispense head, and begin pouring product down into the hopper. This will push out any remaining sanitizer. Once the liquid coming out is just mix, we will release the handle and fill the hopper the remainder of the way. Once the product has been filled in the hopper, you will reinstall the gravity tube. Be certain that it is, once again, installed in the correct hole, and then install the cover lid.